Hello and welcome to Matsusaka, Japan for highlights from a delayed round 3 of the Formula SimRacing World Championship. I'm Edward Hunter, and here's everything you need to know going into the race. The results of the Belgian Grand Prix have been affected by 3 penalties. Firstly, Lauren Keersmakers was penalised 6 places after being deemed at fault for this crash with Sander Kallas and Jan Vosnica, dropping the Belgian from 4th to 10th. Dennis Jordan also didn't escape punishment for his own collision with Vosnica, dropping the Red Bull driver to 15th. Michi Hoyer was also penalised down to 16th and last after pulling out into the path of no Roivers. With their regular drivers unavailable, Unicorns of Love hired Viktor Ivanov to fill their second seat for Japan. Jake Denahan was also absent. Edge eSports had seasoned Greek driver George Chatzipantelis at the wheel. Finally, Super Venturi fielded a single car entry for Alari Alkbus in place of Jan Grekvist. Vosnica took Netrex's first pole position since Austria 2016, but it was Alex Siebel who got the jump on the Polish driver at the start to take the lead for Red Bull. Points leader Colin Spork had qualified down in 7th and lost it at the S's fighting with Jordan. He made contact with both Burst eSports cars as he rejoined, causing Hoyer to spin off into the gravel. Zux swapped positions with his ground effect teammate Kallas before falling into the clutches of Roivers and a recovering Colin Spork. Vosnica used DRS to go all the way around the outside of Siebel to retake the lead of the race, as Janos Braksok defended 3rd from Kallas. Ivan Leonov went down the inside of Zux for 8th, but his teammate Rainey tried to follow him through and got it all wrong, tagging the inside and spinning himself at turn 2. Kallas used his soft tyres to overcome Braksok's medium-shod Arnage car for 3rd. Things then went from bad to worse for Hoyer as Rainey pinched the Burst eSports driver into 130R, and the Dutchman did a full 360-degree spin into the wall and pit for repairs. Siebel utilised some push to pass to snatch a lead from Vosnica again, but the thrilling duel continued as Vosnica slotted back up the inside with DRS on the following lap to retake first position. Sport continued to make progress, demoting Braksok down to 6th. On lap 11, Vosnica pit from the lead for medium tyres and Siebel took the lead, but he soon found Kallas lunging up the inside of him at the Casio Triangle to relieve the Red Bull driver of first place. Roivers followed his teammate in on lap 12, as Viktor Ivanov went off track at Spoon Curve, allowing Keersmakers through into 8th. Kallas now pit from the lead on the following lap, emerging in between the 2 Netrex P1 cars, with Vosnica dispensing Tom Oldenmenger at the hairpin before dispatching Robin Panzer into 130R, with the Burst Simplexity driver taking to the runoff. Siebel pit and found himself undercut by Vosnica, Kallas and Roivers. Now it was the turn of Estonian Kallas to pass Panzer, but he went too deep into Spoon, allowing Roivers to pounce, clearing the Burst Simplexity, making contact with Kallas before mounting another attack through 130R. It seemed like the Netrex was through, but Kallas utilised push to pass to get back past, as Spork now pit from the lead. The championship leader wasted no time going around the outside of Panzer through the constant radius 200R corner. Damien Skovron was yet to pit and could offer little resistance against Kallas, who snatched 4th from him. Roivers followed him through into Spoon corner, and it seemed to be job done until the Netrex driver dipped a wheel onto the grass, leading to this heart-in-mouth moment. Fortunately, Roivers quickly regained control, but Spork had just enough momentum to overcome his countryman for 6th. There will be no lucky escapes for Zux, however, the Hungarian losing control into Dunlop corner, making contact with Jordan and exiting the race in a dramatic inferno. Spork used the DRS to clear Skovron as Braksok pit from the lead for a set of mediums, the Arnage driver committed to a 2-stop strategy. Jordan found the hard-tired Alkpius to be easy meat, as Chatzipantelis lost the rear into Degna 2 and had to extract himself from the gravel by doing a 180. Jordan continued to make progress along with Braksok, their next victim being Leonov. But it was Kallas who was going all out for victory, using everything at his disposal to clear Vosnica on lap 24. Quick reflexes prevented the ground effect driver from losing control, but he then had to hold his nerve as Vosnica went side by side through the S's in a thrilling display of close, tough, but clean racing. Vosnica had had enough. He pit on the following lap, following Roivers in as his tyres had started to fade. Leonov had been running 7th, but a throttle issue put paid to the Bulgarian's chances as he found himself stranded down the start-finish straight and eliminated from the running. Roberto Pignataro's return had been anything but triumphant, and he'd just fallen to last when this error saw the Italian's rear wing part company. Roivers used the DRS to take 9th away from Skovron, but on lap 32, Siebel made a bold strategy call to pit from 2nd for soft tyres, emerging in 7th. He cleared Keersmakers before the end of the lap, and Red Bull had clearly committed to a free-stop strategy. Callas now pit in response on the following lap, Ground Effect trying to get their driver to the end on mediums. He came out just ahead of Roivers and Ivanov, who were battling over 8th. Callas wasted absolutely no time dealing with Keersmakers through 130R. As Spork now also pit for mediums and emerged behind him. Could the Estonian take his first win in FSR? Crucially for Spork, he came out just ahead of Roivers, who found himself hung out to dry around the outside of turns 1 and 2. A poor exit for Keersmakers forced Spork to go all the way around the outside of the Belgian through the hairpin in a superbly executed manoeuvre. Vosnica had caught Jordan, who moved over to defend into turn 1. He was running long to help out his teammate Siebel, and on lap 36, he lifted approaching 130R to let both of them through. The damage, however, had already been done for Vosnica, as Siebel used the DRS to decisively slice in front. Roivers was in for his final stop, and so too was Skovron. Both drivers emerged straight into the intense battle for 7th. Things came to a head on lap 38 as Jordan attempted to hold up Callas and Spork, but found himself going off track into 130R. He made contact as he rejoined, with disastrous consequences for Callas, dashing all hopes of a maiden victory as the Estonian retired in bitter disappointment. Braksok and Jordan then made their final stops for softs, allowing Vosnica and Spork through. Alkpius now found himself fighting for 6th with Ivanov, who slid wide at Spoon, allowing Roivers through. Keersmakers then tried a move on the Unicorns of Love driver into the Casio triangle, but instead found Skovron going all the way around the outside of him as Alkpius came into the pits. There was more pain for Jordan as he exited stage right with a disconnection, as Skovron went around the outside of Ivanov. Now the Polish driver is released to hunt down Roivers for 5th. Siebel made his critical final stop with 10 laps remaining, emerging a few seconds behind Braksok. It was still game on for victory. Vosnica made his final stop a lap later, relinquishing the lead to Colin Spork. Siebel caught Braksok with 5 laps to go, setting blistering pace, and the Arnage driver opted to lose as little time as possible by not defending his 2nd position. This allowed the German to catch Spork with 3 laps left, but even with DRS and push to pass, he could not get close enough. On the penultimate lap, Siebel got another poor run, and the same thing happened to him again. Desperation started to creep in as Siebel tried to go on the outside of Spork into Casio Triangle. This was it, his last and best chance of getting through, and he took it, catching Spork much earlier and sweeping majestically around the outside to lead the final lap of the Japanese Grand Prix. Vosnica was pushing like crazy to catch up, but it was too late. Braksok got close to Spork into Casio Triangle, but also found no way through, as Siebel completed a tactical masterclass to steal the win, only his 2nd ever triumph in the FSR World Championship. Spork fell just short of making it 4 wins on the bounce as Braksok took his 2nd podium of the season. Vosnica was 4th, with Skovron beating Roivers to 5th after another impressive drive. Keersmakers beat the super sub Ivanov and Panzar to 7th, with Hoyer setting the fastest lap to recover to 10th. Olden Menga overcame Rainey on the final tour to take 11th, with Chatzipantelis, Alkpius and Pignataro rounding out the finishers. It was a tough day though for Jordan, Callas, Leonov and Zux, who had all been in the mix for strong results. Siebel's last gasp victory cut Spork's championship lead to 36 points with 4 rounds remaining. Roivers and Vosnica consolidate 3rd and 4th over Jordan, whilst Braksok moves up to 6th, just a point ahead of Skovron. After a scintillating race in Japan, we'll be back for the Italian Grand Prix on the 26th of June. From me, Edward Hunter, it's goodbye from the land of the rising sun.